Nebraska wrapped up their 7th spring practice here on Tuesday. Hi, Sean Callahan with HuskerOnline.com. We caught up with defensive backs coach Evan Cooper, special teams coordinator Ed Foley, as we got a better look at some of these position groups. Let's first start with the secondary. You look at that group right now, there's 5 players that come back that have significant experience, but then you've got a number of other players all battling for Cooper.
I think, Coach Rule's genius, right? Splitting up the teams 3 ways. They all get about the same amount of reps. So it's not much managing going on. It's just a lot of reps, and those guys just working. The young guys, inexperienced guys, you really only get better at football playing football. So it's been good so far. They've been working. You can't hide. So.
And one of those players that will lead not only the back end of the defense, but really this entire Husker football team is Isaac Gifford.
Legitimately, Isaac Gifford is one of the best players in the country, and pretty soon you all will see. Like, he's a warrior. He's tough. That's why he's got the single digit. You see him out there, shoulder harness. He does not want to miss a rep. He covers well. He knows the defense at a high level. He knows offense at a high level. Of course, he tackles well. That's well documented. Even before I got here, he was that. He's just one of those guys, like, it's a coach's dream. Like, everything I ask him to do, he just does it. And then he holds the other guys accountable for not doing it. So he doesn't have a weakness.
Personally, for me, it's working on my craft just to round out my game. I know the defense, and so now I'm just working on myself, working on my footwork, being deliberate in my practice, and just making sure I'm a well-rounded player come fall.
Tuesday was Gifford's 23rd birthday. He's an old man, a veteran of this group, and it's in a role that he's embraced.
Being an old guy, I want to be able to have guys come up to me. I want to be approachable. I want them to come to me and ask questions. I've been here long enough that I've seen and played a lot of football. So, they have been coming up to me, and I'm glad they are.
You also have some new guys on this roster in the secondary, like transfer Bly Hill.
I was interested in him because he's a really good player. His size and his speed and his ability to cover, he's a good player. He fits in. He fit right in. Like, he's a good human, and that room is full of those guys. They've been trying to get pretty tight. You need to be able to gel in the secondary, and we're doing a good job with it. They're working at it. So I like him. He's a sophomore. He's like 18. He's the same age as any other freshmen. So he's been working out pretty well.
And one of the things Gifford offered was some insight on some of the new quarterbacks here throughout spring practice, as not only them, but the receivers as well have offered some good tests.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it was Raiola hit me deep today. Oh, gosh, it was a beautiful ball. But they can both sling it, Danny and Raiola. And, Heinrich's been having a great spring, too. He's been throwing some dots. Like I said a little bit ago, there's speed out there, man. There's guys that are flying. It's been fun because it really pushes me to up my game in practice, and really, it gives me real life reps, So this fall, I'll be ready to go.
Then we caught up with special teams coordinator Ed Foley, as he's got both his punter and kicker back from a year ago in Tristan Alvano and Brian Buscini.
We're working on getting better. They were okay last year, and there's, improvements to be made. I think they're both making strides in that area, specifically with Brian. We're working on field punts. So, I thought he did a nice job last year. If you look at us statistically, this proves out too. Going in the what we call the pooch punts, the pooch area, the directional stuff. We're working on it, but I thought he did a pretty good job with that last year. So, we're doing a lot of work. It's awesome to have our practice facility because we can kick with the wind, against the wind, and now we have that other field where we're kicking with crosswinds. So, that's always a factor with the winds in Nebraska. We've been getting them this spring. We got them all last year, so that's a factor in the big ball kicks for Brian. It's also a factor in the kicking part of it. So Tristan, is working on that as well. Tristan coming out of the season at 60%, that's not good enough for us to win more than 5 games probably. So we have to get that percentage up significantly. And he has shown that so far. He's having a good spring for us. And, he's made some improvements in his technique, and he's stronger. So we're making improvements, but the theme is for both of those guys is to get better. We're also working with a new snapper. So, Camden Kentucky's been snapping as a new snapper, and they're getting used to him, not used to him, but they're just getting into the rhythm of working together.
And Foley joked they got a new long snapper. Hopefully, we're not talking about Camden Kentucky though much longer.
So today we were talking about. He's like, Coach, I shot that thing back the same way, and it was a half turn, meaning Brian had to turn the ball, and then the next time it was perfect. So he has to have a feel for the velocity of the snap, and counting the rotations of the ball coming back. It's that amount of detail. So he just has to he's working with making sure that velocity and how the ball feels coming out of his hand, is the same every time. He again, because he's worked under Marco, because he's that kind of kid. He said to me, in the last practice, he had put a couple of snaps inside and said, Coach, look at my feet. And, one of his feet was staggered. And it was like, I had to look at it real close, but it was like, 2 inches. But it's like a golf swing. It's the same thing over and over and over again with the perfect technique, the perfect hand motion, the feet placed the right way. And again, we're not just talking about snapping it so that he can catch it like Charlie Brown and Lucy. It's like when they used to catch it, or it's like that ball's got to be there and just put right down to give us the best chance to get it through.
Foley gave some insight on who might return punts for the Huskers in 2024.
Ethan Nation's working at punt returner. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda is a guy that's doing him. He's limited in terms of his injuries. So Ethan's taking some reps back there. There's some other young player. Beyond him, because he's done it a little bit on the field for us, and he's working. Like he came out, we would have the jugs out there right after the signing date, and he'd go out there and catch 30 or 40 a day. And the issue here, the issue anywhere, but especially here, is tracking the ball. We have a bunch of guys that can catch a punt. It's the actual watching the ball, and with the wind conditions, and then we go from jugs to Jacob Hull's doing some punting for us, so they go from Brian to Jacob to the jugs, and then you got, like I said, if you're on the turf field, you got a crosswind. If you're on the grass field, you got the wind either in your face or at your back. So all those things are the guys are making really good progress with that. Other guys, other than those two, are making progress with it, but. That'll be. We got to build. My job is to build. We got to get 4 or 5 guys that can do that. As we ran into that a little bit last year, where we had some injury issues with that. And, it was. But we need a major improvement in that area.
And Alvano came a long way as a freshman. He's worked hard over the offseason, and he's even leaned on some former Huskers like Chris Brown, who he's got a relationship with dating back to high school.
I think I've done really well. I've been strong. I think I've worked really hard in the offseason. I think one of my mentors, that I knew before I came here, with relationship with Chris Brown, I think that's really helped me. I've worked with him a lot in the offseason, whether it's back in Omaha for spring break or whatever, but, we're looking at film, but he's been a huge mentor to me, and, seeing what Coach Foley sees and, the rest of the specialists, getting their opinions and seeing what they see on film when we break it down has been huge for me this winter for sure.
Huskers will be back for their 8th practice on Thursday. Reporting with the Nebraska football team in Lincoln, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com.